Hello and welcome back. Today we're working on a MacBook Pro A2141 that does not power on. What the customer described was that the laptop was working fine, and then he tried to swap the battery and suddenly it stopped turning on. Now, like with most things that people do, the same goes for this laptop. You've seen this, how this is screwed together, right? It's like this, but the battery flexes go underneath the laptop. Since we're too bored to remove all the screws and remove the logic board so that we can safely remove the battery and replace it, we just tend to get plastic spudgers or prying tools, and they remove this and this screw here and just lift the logic board like so. Well, that would be the good case. But in this case, I think that our beloved customer took something like this and started lifting the logic board, because there's no point in me showing you what the laptop does, but just for the educational purpose, if we connect the Type-C and we use Paul Daniels' awesome amp meter and we connect the power supply here, it stays on 5 volts. It doesn't switch to 20, and that does that in every port regardless of the position or the side. It does the same here as well, and here, as you can see. And since my opening monologue was for no other reason than just to let you know that when you do insert something like that and keep pushing the logic board upwards, the only thing that you will manage to do is what our friend here managed to do, which is this. This is the ISL 9240, which apparently it is now broken. Can you see that? So we will need to replace that with a new one and hopefully give back our customer a working laptop so that in turn he can give it back to his customer. So let's apply some flux. I don't think we need to be this zoomed in, but if you're wondering about the temperatures I use, they're usually 400 degrees Celsius and on full airflow. This is a quick 861 DW, so it's at 120. Usually pretty safe for the logic board, not very safe for the plastics, so you need to cover if you're working around a connector or something like that. And when you need to desolder the old balls here, just use some lead-free solder, and then you get some wick. Like this. Somehow we managed to create a blob there. No worries. We can clean it up. Come on. Okay. Let us clean our wick so that we can clean that better. So just cut the tip here. And keep cleaning the surface here so that our new ISL can get right in its place. You can use a Q-tip and some alcohol. That's good. Now, if you have the attention span of a goldfish, like I do, you probably cannot remember the orientation of the chip itself. So what you can do is just go to the board view and check for pin number 1, which is on the top right side, which means that we can now, come on, take a new chip, which is already reballed, apply just a little bit of flux here, now if you're confident about your soldering skills on maximum airflow, you can do this on maximum airflow. Otherwise, you can just lower it a bit so that it doesn't fly to Narnia. And once it does stay in place, just give it a nudge so that you see it going back in its place, and that should do. This is the old one, and as you can see, it's broken on the side here. Let's hope that this was indeed the culprit, and we have managed to fix our customer's laptop. Okay. By the way, I did measure around in the beginning to see if there was something wrong with measurements on the board. Like I measured the PP bus, I measured the LDOs, I measured the SSD power supplies. They seem to be in a rather normal state. And then I decided to start watching and looking at the logic board for places it might have been damaged by the technician who was working with it. So let's connect our Type-C here. And there you go. There you have it. It switched to 20 volts. This logic board usually takes a little bit to start booting up. And that's it. Now it is booted up. Let me just place it on the chassis so that you can see that it does power on and chime and do the rest, or does the rest. I'm going to use a little trick that I've learned from the awesome Mr. Paul Daniels. He does this. He takes a little bit of tape and all the little flexes that are tricky to keep in place. He just sticks them on the fans here, like this. Don't apply too much force though, because they can break, and they will break. Let's place this here. Always use a magnetic pad, even if you don't like it. It's gonna save you a ton of trouble. Like in this case, I have no idea where the screws for the Type-C connectors are, but I'm sure I will find them. There's one, and there's two. Okay, now let us lift all the things that need to be lifted. Right, 1, 2, 3. Okay, let's do the battery flex, the trackpad, the keyboard. And the CPU heatsink cover here. Can you see that? Okay. I think in its place. Yes. Let's carefully, don't rip it off. More often than not, you will damage or even tear the flex. Now let's start reconnecting things here. Just like Legos. Everything has a place and one unique way to connect it. Okay. Keyboard connected. We'll connect the battery last for obvious reasons. The angle lid sensor here. Touch bar. Come on. Type-C port. And the LCD cable itself. And the CPU fan here. Let's connect the Wi-Fi antennas as well. And now battery screw and battery flex cable. Oh, let's connect our power supply, heat option. Trackpad is clicking. There's the chime. There's the Apple logo. And there you go. If anything else, this is just a perfect example that you should not rush. You should take your time and you should do things the way that they are meant to be done. If there are 10 screws that need to be undone, undo them. Don't be lazy. Otherwise, you will end up maybe damaging irreversibly something that does not belong to you. That's it for today. I hope you learned something, and I'll catch you on the next one. Bye-bye.